Hey guys, tonight we slip into the humid, velvet dark jungles of the Yucatan, where a crumbling Mayan ruin hides a peculiar secret. A stone statue that, under moonlight, seems to shift just enough to make you question your eyes. Picture yourself standing on moss-slick stones, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and night-blooming flowers, as this carved figure, half warrior, half god, looms in the shadows. Locals swear it moves, but good luck proving that one. You probably won't solve this mystery tonight, and that's half the fun. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your city and local time. I'm curious where you're drifting off from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're deep in the jungle now, the kind of place where the modern world feels like a faint rumor. The air's heavy, pressing against your skin, and every step crunches on leaves or snaps a twig, loud enough to make you wince. Fireflies flicker like tiny lanterns, guiding you toward the heart of this ancient Mayan city, Chichen Itza's lesser-known cousin, swallowed by time. The ruin's name, let's call it Xibalba's Gate for Flare, isn't on most maps, but it's real enough to archaeologists who've poked around since the 1970s. They found it by accident, chasing rumors of a dancing statue whispered about in nearby villages. You're here for that statue. A 7-foot slab of limestone carved with a figure clutching a spear, its eyes hollowed out like it's staring through you. As you approach, the moonlight spills over the clearing, painting the statue in silvers and grays. It's not moving now, of course. Statues don't just waltz around, right? But there's a vibe, a prickle on your neck, like the jungle's holding its breath. You circle it, noticing the worn edges of its headdress, the faint cracks snaking across its chest. Locals claim it shifts on full moon nights, maybe an inch, maybe less, but always back to its spot by dawn. Scholars still argue whether it's seismic tremors or something weirder, like an optical trick of light. You're not so sure. You run your fingers along the stone, cool and gritty, and swear you feel a faint hum, like a distant generator. Nah, probably just your imagination. Or that third coffee you had earlier. The jungle's alive around you, a symphony of chirps and rustles. A howler monkey screeches somewhere far off, and you chuckle, wondering if it's laughing at your nerves. You're not here to solve the mystery, just to soak it in, to let the strangeness settle over you like a cozy blanket. The statue's been here for centuries, maybe 1,000 years, guarding whatever secrets the Mayans etched into its surface. You notice glyphs at its base. Spirals, jaguars, something that looks like a crescent moon. Are they a code, a prayer, or just decoration for a long-dead king? You lean closer, squinting, and that's when you hear it. A low scrape, like stone on stone. Your heart skips. Did the statue just... Nah, no way. You laugh it off, but your eyes stay glued to it, waiting. This place has history. Hard fact. The Mayans built these cities between 250 and 900 CE, mastering astronomy and mathematics while Europe was still figuring out feudalism. Xibalba's Gate, or whatever its real name was, likely served as a ceremonial hub, maybe for lunar rituals. But here's the quirky bit. Villagers nearby insist the statue was a gift from a sky jaguar, a deity who carved it in one night to watch over the city. Cute story, but you're more curious about why the ground around the statue is always bare, no vines or moss, like the earth itself respects its space. You step back, the moonlight brighter now, and wonder what this thing's seen in its long, silent life. You're still standing in the moonlit clearing, the statue's hollow eyes fixed on some distant point beyond you. The jungle hums, a living thing, but your focus is on this carved warrior god, its spear clutched tight like it's ready to strike. Or maybe just posing for eternity. You're here to dig into its story, to feel out why this chunk of limestone has locals whispering and archaeologists scratching their heads. The statue's not dancing tonight, at least not yet, but the air feels charged, like a storm's brewing somewhere deep in the Yucatan. You take a slow breath, the scent of wet ferns filling your lungs, and let the mystery pull you in. This statue's got history, not just rumors. Archaeologists peg it to the late Classic period, around 700 CE, when the Mayans were at their peak, building pyramids and tracking stars with eerie precision. Excavations in the 1980s, real mainstream stuff, unearthed pottery and obsidian blades near this site, suggesting it was a hotspot for rituals. The statue itself, carved from local limestone, stands on a low platform, its base etched with glyphs that scream important. But here's the thing. It's not like other Mayan sculptures. Most depict kings or deities in stiff, regal poses, but this one's got a slight lean, like it's mid-step. Scholars still argue whether that's intentional, a nod to some cosmic dance, or just erosion playing tricks over centuries. You circle the statue again, your sneakers scuffing the bare dirt. That's the quirky tidbit. The ground around it stays clear, no matter how much the jungle tries to creep in. Vines choke every other ruin here, but this spot, it's like the statue's got a force field. Locals say it's because the figure walks at night, scaring off the plants. You chuckle. Walking statues, sure, that's your bedtime story. But you squat down, peering at the soil, and notice it's packed hard, like something heavy's been pacing. Probably just foot traffic from curious hikers, right? You stand, brushing dirt off your hands, and catch a glint in the statue's eye sockets. Moonlight, obviously, but it makes you pause. Let's talk about those movements. The rumors started decades ago, maybe centuries. Village elders, the ones who still speak Yucatec Maya, swear the statue shifts on full moon nights. Not big moves, no cha-cha across the clearing, but a tilt, a slide, maybe a few centimeters. By morning, it's back in place, like nothing happened. You're tempted to roll your eyes, but there's a photo from a 1990s dig, grainy and dog-eared, showing the statue slightly off its platform. The lead archaeologist swore it wasn't staged. You picture her, clipboard in hand, muttering, "This is why I don't do field work." The debate's still alive. Is it micro-earthquakes, common in the region, or something less geological? You step closer, the statue towering over you. Its face is weathered, but the details, feathered headdress, jaguar pelt belt, are sharp, like the carver finished yesterday. You imagine the Mayan artisan, chisel in hand, working under torchlight, maybe sneaking a glance at the moon for inspiration. Did they know this thing would spark stories for a millennium? You run a finger along a glyph, a curling snake, and feel that hum again, faint but stubborn. Your phone's in your pocket, useless out here, no signal, but you're half tempted to record just in case. A bat swoops overhead, and you laugh, low and nervous. "Chill, it's just a jungle," you mutter. But your eyes dart back to the statue. The moonlight's stronger now, bathing the clearing in a soft glow. You notice the statue's shadow, long and jagged, stretching across the stones. It looks wrong, like it's not quite matching the pose. You blink, shake your head. Too many late nights, probably. But the idea sticks. What if this thing's more than stone? Not alive, not exactly, but aware. You snort at yourself. "Get a grip," you say, loud enough to startle a nearby frog. The jungle's full of tricks. Light, sound, your own tired brain. Still, you settle onto a flat stone, ready to watch, to wait, to see if this statue's got any moves to show you tonight. You're settled on that flat stone now, the jungle pressing in like a living wall around you. The statue looms, silent and stubborn, its spear catching slivers of moonlight. You're not expecting it to break into a jig, but the stories, those whispered tales of movement, have you curious. You lean back, the stone cool against your palms, and let your eyes wander beyond the statue to the ruins sprawling around it. This isn't just a clearing. It's the ghost of a city, Xibalba's gate, where the Mayans once lived, loved, and probably argued over who forgot to clean the ceremonial altar. You're here to feel that pulse, to walk the paths they walked, even if it's just in your head. This place was a big deal, historically speaking. Chichen Itzá gets all the postcards, but smaller sites like this one were the backbone of Mayan civilization, thriving around 600 to 900 CE. Archaeologists, bless their dusty notebooks, mapped this city in the 1990s, finding plazas, ball courts, and stelae, those are the fancy stone slabs, scattered like a giant's dropped Legos. The mainstream fact? This city likely housed thousands, with a complex water system that kept it alive in the dry season. You picture it, kids chasing dogs, priests muttering prayers, merchants haggling over jade. Now it's just you, the statue, and a chorus of crickets loud enough to drown out your thoughts. You stand, stretching, and wander past the statue toward a crumbled pyramid, its steps choked with roots. The jungle's reclaimed most of it, but you can still trace the outline of a plaza, maybe where people gathered to watch the stars or cheer at a ball game. You kick a pebble, and it skitters into the dark. That's when you hear it. A faint rustle, not from the trees, but closer, like fabric dragging over stone. You freeze, heart doing a little salsa. Just the wind, you mutter. But you glance back at the statue. Still there, still still. You laugh, soft and sheepish. You're losing it, buddy. Here's the quirky bit. Locals say this city never really died. Not in a creepy zombie town way, but spiritually. Elders in the nearby village, let's call it Santa Luz, claim the ruins hum with old voices on moonlit nights. They don't mean ghosts exactly, but something like the city's memory, trapped in the stones. You're not sold on that, but as you step onto the plaza's cracked tiles, you swear the air feels thicker, like you're wading through time. You imagine a Mayan woman, her shawl brushing the ground, crossing this spot 1,000 years ago. That rustle again, probably a lizard, but you're not betting your flashlight on it. Scholars still argue whether places like this were abandoned because of drought, war, or something less tangible, like a shift in belief. You crouch, running your hand over a tile etched with a faint spiral. Did the people here just leave? Or did they see something? The statue moving, maybe, that spooked them into packing up. You're no historian, but the idea of a whole city bailing because of a fidgety statue makes you grin. You picture the mayor, all feathered up, shouting, "That's it, we're out," as everyone grabs their stuff. Ridiculous, sure, but it's a fun thought. You drift back toward the statue, its shadow sharper now as the moon climbs higher. The glyphs at its base catch your eye again. Jaguars, moons, a figure with outstretched hands. You're no codebreaker, but they feel like a story, maybe about the statue itself. You sit cross-legged, the ground hard under you, and let the jungle's sounds wash over you, cicadas, frogs, the occasional hoot of something you hope isn't too toothy. The statue's not moving, but it's watching, or so it feels. You lean forward, whispering, "Come on, give me something." Nothing happens, but the night's young, and you're not going anywhere. The ruins stretch around you, whispering their own secrets, and you're ready to listen. You're back by the statue now, its stone face glowing under the moon's full glare, like it's soaking up the light and daring you to blink. You're not blinking, though. Your eyes are locked on that carved warrior, half expecting it to twitch just to mess with you. The jungle's still humming, crickets and frogs laying down a soundtrack that's equal parts soothing and unnerving. You shift your weight, the bare dirt under your sneakers feeling oddly firm, like it's been polished by something heavier than passing hikers. The stories about this statue moving, they're why you're here, sitting in a Mayan ruin at who knows what hour, waiting for a chunk of rock to pull a fast one. And then, just maybe, it does. You lean forward, squinting. The moonlight's doing something weird, pooling around the statue's base like liquid silver. You rub your eyes, probably just tired, but when you look again, the statue's shadow seems off. It's sharper, longer, and the angle's wrong, like the figure's leaning a hair to the left. You hold your breath, heart thumping. Did it move? Nah, that's crazy. You stand, circling slowly, checking from every angle. The statue's still rooted, spear clutched tight, but you swear its head's tilted a fraction, like it's glancing at the moon. You laugh, low and shaky. Okay, jungle, you're playing dirty, you mutter, half to yourself, half to whatever's listening. Let's ground this in reality for a second. The Mayans were obsessed with the moon. Hard fact. Their calendars, carved into stones like this one, tracked lunar cycles with freaky accuracy down to the day. This statue, tied to a ceremonial city, might have been part of those rituals, maybe aligned to catch moonlight at specific times. Archaeologists found similar setups in nearby ruins, like at Uxmal, where structures line up with celestial events. But here's the quirky twist. Locals in Santa Luz say the statue only moves when the moon's at its peak, like it's waiting for a cosmic cue. You glance up. The moon's high, fat and bright, casting shadows that dance across the clearing. Coincidence? Probably. You step closer, the air cooler now, brushing your skin like a whisper. The statue's glyphs, jaguars, crescents, that outstretched figure, seem to pulse in the light, though you know it's just your brain filling in gaps. Scholars still argue whether the statue's movement is an optical illusion, caused by moonlight and shadow play, or something geological, like tiny tremors shifting the platform. You're no scientist, but you feel the ground, solid as ever. No quakes tonight. You kneel, peering at the base, and notice a faint groove in the dirt, like something's been dragging. Your pulse skips. "Oh, come on," you say, grinning despite yourself. Maybe it's just erosion, but it looks like a track, faint and curved. You sit back, cross-legged, and let the moment sink in. The jungle's alive around you. A monkey howls, far off, and you chuckle, imagining it's cheering you on. "Keep it down, pal," you whisper, eyes still on the statue. You're starting to get why people tell these stories. It's not just about a moving statue, it's the vibe. The way this place makes you feel watched, like you're part of something older than Wi-Fi and deadlines. You picture a Mayan priest standing right here, robes swaying, staring at the same moon. Did they see it move too? Did they laugh it off? Or did they carve those glyphs to warn folks like you? The moonlight's still pouring down, and you notice the statue's shadow shifting again, slowly, like it's stretching after a long nap. You're not scared, okay, maybe a little, but mostly you're hooked. You lean forward, elbows on your knees, and whisper, "All right, statue, what's your deal?" No answer, of course, but the night feels alive, buzzing with secrets. You're not solving this tonight, and that's fine. You settle in, ready to watch, to wait, to let the jungle and its moonlit magic spin their story around you. You're still parked in front of that statue, the moonlight washing over it like a spotlight, making its carved features, jaguar belt, feathered headdress, pop in sharp relief. The jungle's buzzing around you, a relentless hum of insects and the occasional rustle of something slinking through the underbrush. You're not spooked, not exactly, but your skin's tingling, like the air's got a secret it's not sharing. That shadow trick from earlier, the statue's lean, the groove in the dirt. Has you hooked? And now you're wondering about the people who made this thing, the Mayans who poured their sweat and faith into it. What were they up to, carving a statue that's got folks like you sitting up past bedtime, squinting for clues? Let's talk facts for a sec. The Mayans were hardcore about their rituals. Mainstream history backs this up. By 700 CE, cities like this one were hubs for ceremonies tied to gods, stars, and seasons. Priests, the rock stars of their day, ran the show, offering everything from maize to blood, yep, they went there, to keep the cosmos happy. This statue, with its spear and starry-eyed stare, was likely a centerpiece for lunar rites. Excavations nearby turned up altars and incense burners, suggesting this clearing hosted some serious moonlit parties. You picture it. Torches flickering, drums thumping, priests chanting while the statue stood watch. Kind of makes your late-night snack run seem tame, huh? But here's the quirky bit. Local legend says the priests didn't just worship the statue, they talked to it. Not like, hey, nice spear, but in trance-like rituals where they'd burn copal resin and claim the statue spoke through moonlight. Villagers in Santa Luz still tell this story, half smirking, like they know it sounds wild. You sniff the air, half hoping for a whiff of that ancient incense, but all you get is damp moss and a hint of your own deodorant giving up. You chuckle, muttering, "Guess I'm no priest." Still, you can't shake the image of robed figures circling this spot, their shadows dancing with the statues. Scholars still argue whether these rituals were purely symbolic or if the Mayans believed their statues could, well, do stuff, like move. Some say the priests used tricks, maybe levers or moonlight angles to wow the crowds. Others think it was all spiritual, a way to connect with gods like Ixchel, the moon goddess. You glance at the statue, its hollow eyes catching the light, and wonder if those priests saw what you're seeing, that faint, impossible tilt. You shift, stretching your legs, and notice the moonlight pooling at the statue's base again, like it's drawn to it. Your pulse ticks up, but you play it cool, whispering, "Nice try, statue. I'm onto you." You stand, brushing dirt off your jeans, and wander a few steps, keeping the statue in your peripheral. The clearing feels alive, like the jungle's leaning in to eavesdrop. You spot a low stone, maybe an old altar, and imagine a priest setting out offerings, jade beads, cacao, maybe a feathered fan. Did they see the statue shift and freak out, or was it just another Tuesday for them? You grin, picturing a priest tripping over his robe mid-ceremony, muttering, "Not again, Bob." The jungle's too quiet for a moment, and you pause, ears straining. A twig snaps, probably a critter, but you spin around, half expecting the statue to be closer. It's not. Of course it's not. You settle back near the statue, the moonlight brighter now, painting the glyphs in stark contrast. Those carvings, snakes, moons, a figure with raised hands, feel like they're trying to tell you something. You're no expert, but you trace one with your finger, the stone cool and rough. Maybe it's a prayer, a warning, or just a really old grocery list. The jungle's sounds swell again, a frog croaking like it's got opinions. You lean back, letting the night wrap around you, content to sit with the mystery, to let the statue and its long-dead priests keep their secrets for now. You're sprawled on the ground now, back against a smooth stone, the statue looming like a silent bouncer at this moonlit jungle party. The air's thick with the scent of wet leaves and something sweeter, maybe night-blooming jasmine, and the jungle's cranking up its nighttime playlist. Crickets, frogs, a distant owl throwing in some moody vibes. You're locked in on the statue, its spear glinting like it's daring you to look away. That shadow play from earlier, the hint of a tilt, has you hyper-aware, ears perked for any odd sound. You're not here to crack the case, just to soak in the weirdness, and the jungle's doing its part, wrapping you in a cocoon of sound and shadow that feels alive. Let's anchor this with a fact. The Mayans didn't just build cities, they engineered soundscapes. Archaeologists, real nerds with tape measures, found that places like this were designed to amplify noise, like natural amphitheaters. Clap your hands in certain spots, and the echo sounds like a jaguar's growl or a bird's cry. This clearing, with its ring of low stones, might have been tuned for rituals, making chants or drums carry farther. You test it, clapping once, sharp and loud. The sound bounces, weirdly crisp like the jungle's clapping back. You grin, muttering, "Okay, that's cool," but it makes you wonder, was the statue part of this acoustic trick, its movement tied to sound vibrations? Now, for the quirky tidbit, locals swear the jungle itself talks to the statue. Not in a chatty, how's your day way, but through its noises, howler monkeys, wind, even rain, that supposedly peak when the statue shifts. Villagers in Santa Luz say nights like this, with a full moon, turn the jungle into a chorus, like it's hyping up the statue's big moment. You listen, head cocked. The crickets are relentless, and something's rustling nearby, probably a possum with no sense of timing. You chuckle, imagining the jungle as a backup band, with the statue as the stoic lead singer. Needs better stage presence, you whisper, smirking. Scholars still argue whether the statue's movement could be sonic, vibrations from rituals or natural sounds loosening its base. Some geologists point to micro-tremors, common in the Yucatan, but others think the Mayans rigged it, maybe with hidden counterweights. You glance at the statue's platform, solid as ever, and shake your head. No way they're hauling stones around like stage props. Still, the jungle's noise feels heavier now, like it's pressing against you. You stand, stretching, and wander closer, the moonlight painting the statue's glyphs in sharp lines. Those carvings, jaguars, moons, that outstretched figure, seem to pulse with the cricket hum, though you know it's just your eyes playing tricks. You pause, catching a new sound, a low, rhythmic thrum, like a heartbeat. Your pulse skips and you spin, scanning the dark. Nothing but trees and shadows. "All right, jungle, you win," you say, half laughing, half nervous. You're not spooked, but you're definitely awake, eyes darting to the statue. It's still there, unmoved, but the thrum persists, faint and steady. Maybe it's the wind funneling through the ruins, or maybe your imagination's working overtime. You picture a Mayan drummer pounding away 1,000 years ago, the statue catching the beat. Did they hear this too? Did it make their hearts race like yours is now? You settle back, cross-legged, the statue's shadow stretching across the clearing. The moonlight's so bright you could read by it, and you notice the bare dirt around the statue again, that weirdly polished look. You lean forward, squinting, and spot another faint groove curving like a slow arc. Your breath catches. "No way," you whisper, but you're smiling, caught up in the game. The jungle's chorus swells, a frog croaking like it's got a front row seat. You're not solving this tonight, but you're loving the ride. letting the sounds and shadows pull you deeper into the statue's strange, silent world. You're still camped out in the moonlit clearing, the statue standing like it's judging your life choices, its spear catching the light just so. The jungle's alive around you, a wall of sound, crickets sawing away, frogs belting out their greatest hits, and that faint thrum from earlier lingering like a half-remembered dream. You're sprawled on the bare dirt now, close enough to the statue to smell the damp stone, your eyes tracing its glyphs in the silvery glow. Those carvings, jaguars, moons, that figure with outstretched hands, feel like they're daring you to figure them out. You're not Indiana Jones, but you're itching to know what story they're telling, what the Mayans wanted this statue to say. Let's lean on a solid fact. Mayan glyphs weren't just art. They were a full-on writing system, one of the few in the ancient Americas. By 700 CE, scribes were carving everything from kingly bragging rights to star charts into stone. The glyphs on this statue, found in digs around similar sites, likely mix mythology and history, maybe naming a deity or a lunar event. You squint at the carvings, the moonlight making them pop. There's a jaguar, its spots worn but clear, and a crescent moon stacked above it. Could be a nod to a specific night, a ritual, or even a priest's hot take on the cosmos. You picture a scribe, chisel in hand, muttering, "Hope this looks epic in 1,000 years." Here's the quirky bit. Locals in Santa Luz say the glyphs light up on certain nights, not glowing like neon but shimmering, like they're catching moonlight in a way the rest of the statue doesn't. You lean closer, skeptical but curious, and yep, there's a faint sheen on the jaguar glyph, like it's polished smoother than the rest. You snort, muttering, "Okay, that's a little spooky." Probably just a trick of the light or some mineral in the stone, but it's enough to make you double-check. You run your finger over the glyph, cool and slick, and feel a tiny jolt like static. "Oh, come on," you laugh, shaking your hand. Static, right? Not the statue zapping you for being nosy. Scholars still argue whether these glyphs are purely decorative or functional, like a code for priests to track lunar cycles or summon gods. Some think the carvings were painted back in the day, their colors long faded, to make them pop during rituals. You imagine this statue decked out in reds and blues, glowing under torchlight, and grin at the thought of a Mayan kid sneaking a peek, whispering, "That's the coolest thing ever." You shift, sitting cross-legged, and notice the moonlight pooling again, brighter on the glyphs than the statue's weathered chest. It's subtle, but it's there, like the carvings are drinking the light. You're not buying the shimmering legend, but you're not buying it either. You lean back, the jungle's chorus cranking up. A monkey howls, sounding like it's auditioning for a horror flick. You chuckle, muttering, "Relax, buddy, it's just a statue." But your eyes stay glued to those glyphs, their lines sharp in the moonlight. You spot another carving, a figure with arms raised, like it's offering something to the sky. A prayer? A warning? You're no linguist, but you feel the weight of it, like the statue's whispering its own story. You picture the Mayans standing here, their voices echoing off the stones, the glyphs catching firelight instead of moonlight. Did they see the statue move? Did they carve these signs to explain it, or to hide it? The air's cooler now, brushing your skin like a soft nudge. You stretch, your shadow mingling with the statue's, and catch that thrum again, faint but stubborn. It's probably just the jungle's pulse, but it makes you pause, ears straining. Nothing moves, not the statue, not you. You settle back, content to let the glyphs keep their secrets, to let the moonlight and the jungle weave their spell. You're here for the ride, for the strange, sleepy magic of this place, and you're not going anywhere. You're still hunkered down in the clearing, the statue towering over you like it's got all the answers and zero plans to share. The moonlight's relentless, bathing the glyphs, jaguars, moons, that raised hand figure, in a glow that makes them look alive, almost pulsing. The jungle's cranking its usual symphony, crickets, frogs, a rustle that's probably a lizard but could be your imagination running wild. You're focused on the statue, but now your mind's drifting to the people nearby, the folks in Santa Luz who've kept its story alive with tales that sound half crazy, half plausible. You lean forward, elbows on your knees, ready to dive into their world, to hear the whispers that make this statue more than just a chunk of rock. Here's a grounded fact. The Yucatan's modern communities, like those around Santa Luz, are direct descendants of the ancient Mayans, blending old traditions with new. Anthropologists, folks with clipboards and too many bug bites, have documented how villages near ruins like this one hold festivals tied to lunar cycles, echoing rituals from 700 CE. These folks know the statue's history, not from books, but from oral stories passed down like heirlooms. You picture a kid in Santa Luz, wide-eyed, listening to their grandma talk about the dancing stone while firelight flickers. Makes you wish you'd brought a notebook, though your phone's probably dead by now anyway. Now, for the quirky twist, the villagers swear the statue doesn't just move, it picks its audience. According to local lore, it only shifts for pure hearts, whatever that means. Maybe kids, or people who bring offerings like flowers or maize. You chuckle, imagining a stone statue playing gatekeeper like, "Sorry, pal, your vibes are off." One story, told by a Santa Luz elder, claims a boy saw the statue step forward during a full moon, only to snap back when he blinked. You're not buying it, but you glance at the statue, half joking, and whisper, "My heart's pure, right? Show me something." Nothing happens, but you're grinning, caught up in the whimsy. Scholars still argue whether these stories are cultural memory or just creative storytelling, maybe inspired by the statue's odd lean or those shimmering glyphs you noticed earlier. Some ethnographers think the pure heart bit ties to Mayan beliefs about spiritual clarity, where only the innocent could commune with gods. Others say it's a way to keep tourists respectful. No littering if you think the statue's judging you. You look around the clearing, pristine except for your sneaker prints, and nod. "Point taken," you mutter, brushing dirt off your hands. The moonlight's still pouring down, and you notice the statue's shadow again, stretched long and jagged, like it's reaching for the jungle's edge. You stand, stretching your legs, and wander a few steps, keeping the statue in sight. You imagine a villager here, maybe a woman in an embroidered huipil, leaving a marigold at the statue's base during a harvest moon. Did she see it move? Did she laugh it off like you're trying to, or did she whisper a prayer and hightail it home? You spot a faint yellow petal, half buried in the dirt, and pause. Could be recent, could be nothing, but it makes you smile. "All right, statue, you've got fans," you say, low and teasing. A monkey howls in the distance, and you flinch, then laugh. "Not you, buddy." You settle back near the statue, the glyphs catching your eye again. That raised hand figure feels personal now, like it's gesturing to you or to the moon. You're not sure what's real anymore. The stories, the shadow, the petal. But you're okay with that. The jungle's hum wraps around you, the air cool and heavy, and you feel tethered to this place, to the villagers' tales, to the statue's silent watch. You lean back, ready to listen, to wait, to let the night and its legends spin their quiet magic. You are back on your perch. a flat stone that's starting to feel like an old friend, the statue still looming with its spear and stony stare. The moonlight's holding steady, draping the clearing in a silver haze, and the jungle's soundtrack, crickets, frogs, the odd rustle, has you half convinced you're in a nature ASMR video. Those glyphs with their jaguars and moons are practically winking at you now, thanks to that shimmering trick you spotted earlier. The stories from Santa Luz about pure hearts and dancing stones have your brain buzzing. But now you're diving deeper, wondering what the experts, those tweed jacket types, make of this statue's so-called moves. You lean forward, chin in hand, ready to poke at the puzzle from their angle. Here's a solid fact: the Mayans were engineering geniuses, building cities like this one with zero metal tools or wheels. By 700 CE, they were aligning structures, pyramids, statues, you name it, with celestial events like lunar eclipses or solstices. Archaeologists studying sites near Xibalba's gate found that platforms like the statues were often set on packed clay, designed to shift slightly with seasonal rains. That could explain the movement, just the ground settling, not some cosmic cha-cha. You glance at the statue's base, the bare dirt packed tight, and nod. Makes sense, but it's not as fun as the villagers' tales, is it? Now, for the quirky bit. One rogue scholar, back in the 90s, claimed the statue's carved to mess with your eyes. Not a prank, but an optical illusion. Something about the angles of its lean and the glyph's curves tricking your brain under moonlight. Locals laughed it off, saying, "Sure, and my goat's a mathematician." You squint at the statue, tilting your head. Maybe it's the light, but the spear seems to waver, like it's bending. You blink, and it's solid again. "Sneaky," you mutter, chuckling. You're not sold on the theory, but it's got you second-guessing what you're seeing, which is probably the point. Scholars still argue whether the statue's movement is physical or perceptual. Some geologists stick to microtremors, common in the Yucatan's limestone bedrock, shifting the platform just enough to notice. Others, the artsy types, lean into the illusion idea, saying the Mayans designed it to spook or awe worshippers. You stand, circling the statue, checking its lean. It looks the same, but that groove in the dirt, curved, faint, catches your eye again. You kneel, running a finger along it, and feel that static-like jolt, same as when you touch the glyphs. "Okay, statue, you're showing off," you say, grinning despite the goosebumps. Probably just dry air, right? You step back, the moonlight pooling at the statue's feet like it's got its own spotlight. You picture a Mayan engineer, all serious with a plumb line, plotting this thing to catch the moon just so. Did they know it'd spark debate centuries later? You imagine them smirking, like, "Let's see how they handle this." A bat swoops low and you duck, laughing. "Warn a guy," you call, then settle back, cross-legged. The jungle's hum feels heavier now, like it's in on the joke. You notice the statue's shadow again, stretched and sharp, and swear it's shifted a hair. Your heart skips, but you play it cool, whispering, "Nice try, Moonlight." You're not here to settle the scholar's feud, tremors versus illusions versus whatever else. You're here for the vibe, for the way this place makes your skin tingle and your brain spin stories. The glyphs, the groove, the villagers' tales. They're all threads in the same weird tapestry. You lean back, letting the jungle's pulse wash over you, content to sit with the mystery, to let the statue keep its secrets while you watch, wait, and maybe, just maybe, catch it in the act. You're still rooted in the clearing. The statue, standing tall like it's been waiting for you to figure it out since the Mayans packed up and left. The moonlight's at its peak now, turning the jungle into a black and silver dreamscape, and the air's alive with the usual suspects. crickets, frogs, a breeze that's more tease than relief. Those glyphs, with their jaguars and moons, are still catching the light in that shimmery way, and you're half convinced they're mocking your attempts to stay rational. The scholars' debates, tremors, illusions, are swirling in your head, but now you're looking up to the sky, wondering if the stars and that fat, glowing moon have something to do with this statue's sneaky reputation. You shift, stretching your legs, and settle in to chase that cosmic thread. Here's a hard fact. The Mayans were sky nerds, mapping stars and planets with a precision that'd make modern astronomers jealous. By 700 CE, they'd pegged lunar cycles to the day, carving their findings into stones like this statue's base. Sites near Xibalba's gate, like Palenque, have structures aligned with celestial events, say the moon hitting a certain spot on a solstice. This statue's platform, with its faint grooves, might be angled to catch moonlight at a specific angle, maybe triggering that movement locals swear by. You glance up, the moon hanging like a spotlight, and notice it's framed perfectly above the statue's headdress. Coincidence? Maybe not. Now, for the quirky bit, villagers in Santa Luz say the statue only moves when certain stars are out, like it's got a cosmic RSVP list. They point to a cluster, let's call it the Jaguar's Eye because it sounds cool, that's visible on full moon nights. You squint at the sky, picking out a tight knot of stars twinkling above the tree line. Could be the one. The story goes that the statue dances when the Jaguar's Eye and the moon align, like it's performing for an audience of gods. You chuckle, muttering, "Hope I got tickets." It's a cute tale, but it makes you wonder if the Mayans carved this thing to sync with the heavens. Scholars still argue whether the statue's tied to specific star patterns or just the moon's phases. Some astronomers think the glyphs, those crescents and jaguars, double as a star map, pointing to events like lunar standstills, fancy term for when the moon hits its highest point. Others say it's simpler, just a way to mark time. You kneel, peering at the glyphs again, and notice a star-shaped carving tucked near the base, half worn but clear. Your pulse ticks up. "Sneaky," you whisper, tracing it with your finger. No jolt this time, just cool stone, but you're grinning, caught up in the idea of this statue as a cosmic clock. You stand, craning your neck to follow the moon's path. It's shifted slightly, and the statue's shadow, long, jagged, seems to follow, stretching toward a crumbled altar across the clearing. You wander over, keeping one eye on the statue, and notice the altar's etched with similar stars, like it's part of the same story. You picture a Mayan priest here, stargazing, maybe muttering, "Right on schedule." A monkey screeches and you flinch, laughing. "Okay, I'm jumpy," you admit, "but you're loving this, the way the sky and the statue feel linked, like you're brushing against something ancient and vast." You settle back near the statue, the moonlight still pouring down, the Jaguar's Eye twinkling like it's in on the secret. The jungle's hum feels synced with the stars now, a low pulse that's more felt than heard. You lean back, hands behind your head, and let the night do its thing. The statue's not moving, not that you can see, but the air's thick with possibility, like the heavens are whispering to it, same as they did 1,000 years ago. You're not solving this, not tonight, but you're happy to sit under the stars, to let the moon and its mysteries carry you along. You're still lounging in the clearing, the statue's shadow pooling around you like spilled ink, its spear catching moonlight in a way that feels almost deliberate. The jungle's humming along, crickets, frogs, a breeze rustling leaves like it's flipping pages in a book. The stars, that Jaguar's Eye cluster, are still twinkling above, and the moon's high and bright. painting the glyphs with that shimmery glow you can't quite explain. You're deep in the vibe now, letting the cosmic connection sink in, but your mind's drifting back to the ruins themselves, to the city that cradled this statue before the jungle swallowed it whole. You shift, sitting up straighter, ready to wander the echoes of Xibalba's gate, to feel its faded pulse under your feet. Here's a grounded fact. Mayan cities like this one weren't just random piles of stone. They were planned down to the last plaza. By 700 CE, places like Xibalba's gate were laid out like cosmic maps, with pyramids and statues aligned to mirror the heavens. Archaeologists digging here in the 1980s found evidence of a grid system, with this clearing at the heart, likely a ceremonial hub. The statue's platform, with its packed clay and faint grooves, was probably a focal point, maybe for moonlit rituals or public gatherings. You glance around, spotting crumbled walls and a low pyramid, their shapes softened by vines. It's quiet now, but you can almost hear the city's buzz. Voices, laughter, drums. Now, for the quirky bit, locals in Santa Luz say the ruins breathe on full moon nights. Not literally, but like the stones hold memories that stir when the light's just right. They claim you can feel it. A faint warmth or hum in the air, like the city's still watching. You press your hand to a nearby stone, half expecting a pulse. Nothing, just cool grit, but you chuckle, muttering, "Would have been cool." Still, the air feels heavier, like it's carrying the weight of 1,000 years. You imagine a Mayan kid running through this plaza, dodging merchants while the statue stood watch. Makes you wonder what they'd think of you, poking around their turf. Scholars still argue whether these cities were abandoned suddenly or faded slowly, maybe from drought or rebellion. Some think places like this held on longer, clinging to old rituals even as the jungle crept in. You wander a few steps, your sneakers scuffing mossy tiles, and spot a broken stela, its carvings worn to ghosts. You picture the last priest here, standing by the statue, maybe whispering to it as the city emptied out. Did they see it move? Did they take it as a sign to stay or go? You grin, imagining them shrugging like, "Well, that's my cue." The moonlight's still strong, and you notice the statue's shadow again, stretched toward that altar with the star carvings you saw earlier. You pause, leaning against a crumbled wall, the jungle's chorus swelling around you. A bat swoops low, and you duck, laughing softly. "Rude," you mutter, but your eyes are on the statue, its glyphs glinting like they're in on the joke. You feel tethered to this place, to its lost voices, its stubborn stones. The bare dirt around the statue catches your eye again, that polished look, and you spot another faint groove, curving like a slow dance step. Your heart skips, but you play it cool, whispering, "All right, statue, you're keeping me guessing." You're not here to rewrite history, just to walk its edges, to let the ruins' fading echoes pull you deeper into their story. You drift back toward the statue, settling cross-legged, the moonlight wrapping you like a blanket. The city's gone, but it's not silent, not tonight. You lean back, letting the jungle's hum and the statue's quiet presence sink in, content to sit with the mystery, to feel the weight of a place that's still alive, in its own strange way, under the stars. You're still parked in the clearing, the statue's carved silhouette cutting a sharp line against the moonlit jungle. The air's thick with the scent of damp earth and that faint jasmine whiff, while the crickets and frogs keep their relentless jam session going. The glyphs, jaguars, moons, that raised hand figure, are still shimmering, catching the moonlight like they're putting on a private show. You're deep in the ruins' echoes, feeling the ghost of Xibalba's gate around you. But now your mind's circling back to the statue itself, to that nagging question. Is this thing moving, or is the jungle just messing with your head? You lean forward, elbows on your knees, eyes locked on the stone warrior, ready to wrestle with the heart of this mystery. Let's ground this with a fact. The Yucatan's geology is a wild card. The peninsula's limestone bedrock, riddled with cenotes and underground rivers, is prone to subtle shifts, micro-tremors that can nudge loose objects. Geologists studying sites like this one in the 2000s found that statues on clay platforms, like this one, sometimes settle over time, tilting slightly with seasonal rains or quakes. That could explain the statue's supposed dance, just physics, not magic. You glance at the platform, its packed dirt and faint grooves glinting under the moon. Makes sense, but it's hard to buy when the statue's staring you down like it's got secrets. Here's the quirky bit. Locals in Santa Luz insist the statue's picky about when it moves, and it's not just about the moon or stars. They say it chooses nights when the jungle feels heavy, a vibe, not a weather report. One old guy claimed he saw it shift during a storm, lightning flashing like the statue was flexing for the gods. You chuckle, muttering, "Drama queen." But you feel it now, that heaviness, like the air's pressing harder, the jungle's hum deeper. You sniff, still just moss and flowers, no storm brewing. Still, the story's got you scanning the shadows, half expecting a light show. Scholars still argue whether the statue's movement is natural or something else, maybe a forgotten Mayan tech. Some engineers think the platform's designed to amplify tiny shifts, making a small tremor look like a deliberate step. Others lean supernatural, citing myths about living stones tied to gods like Kukulkan. You stand, circling the statue, checking its lean. It looks the same, but that groove in the dirt, curved, polished, feels like a clue. You kneel, tracing it, and catch that static jolt again, sharp enough to make you flinch. "Okay, rude," you say, laughing, but your pulse is racing. Static, sure, but it's the third time tonight. You step back, the moonlight pooling at the statue's feet, its shadow stretching toward that star-carved altar. You wander over, keeping the statue in your peripheral, and notice the altar's stones are loose, like they've been nudged recently. Your heart skips. "No way," you whisper, picturing the statue strolling over for a midnight snack. You're joking, mostly, but the jungle's vibe is intense, the air thick enough to chew. A monkey howls and you spin, grinning despite yourself. "Timing, pal," you call, then settle back near the statue, cross-legged, the glyphs glinting like they're laughing with you. You lean forward, studying the statue's face. Hollow eyes, tight-lipped, like it's holding back a smirk. Is it the ground, the light, or something weirder, something the Mayans knew and we've forgotten? You're not scared, just hooked, caught in the push-pull of logic and mystery. The jungle's hum feels like a heartbeat now, syncing with your own. You picture a Mayan watcher standing here, asking the same questions. Did they know? Did they care? You whisper, "Come on, statue, give me a hint." No answer, but the night's alive, and you're happy to sit, to watch, to let the question hang in the moonlit air. You're still camped out in the clearing, the statue's stoned bulk looming like it's been sizing you up all night. The moonlight's starting to soften, just a touch, as the moon dips lower, but it's still bright enough to make the glyphs, jaguars, moons, that raised hand figure, glimmer like they're in on some cosmic joke. The jungle's humming along, crickets and frogs weaving a soundscape that's lulling you into a cozy haze, though that heavy air, the one the locals called a chosen night, keeps you alert. You're not done with this statue yet, not when those grooves and jolts keep teasing you. Now your eyes are on the ground, on something new, faint traces of something left behind, maybe by people who stood here long before you. You lean forward, brushing dirt with your fingers, ready to dig into what's hiding at the statue's feet. Let's anchor this with a fact. Mayan ceremonial sites like this one were littered with offerings, often buried or tucked into crevices. Archaeologists digging around Xibalba's gate in the 1990s found jade beads, obsidian flakes, and even charred maize near statues, gifts to gods or ancestors. This statue's platform, with its bare, packed dirt, might have been a drop-off for similar tributes, maybe tied to lunar rituals. You squint at the ground, noticing a glint. Something small, half-buried. Your pulse ticks up as you brush away dirt, revealing a chipped obsidian shard, sharp and black. Could be nothing, just a rock, but it feels like a whisper from the past. Here's the quirky bit. Locals in Santa Luz say offerings left at the statue disappear by morning, not stolen, but taken by the statue itself. One story claims a girl left a clay figurine, only to find it gone at dawn, replaced by a single marigold petal. You chuckle, muttering, "What, you got a gift shop back there?" But you think of that yellow petal you saw earlier, half buried near the altar, and your grin falters. You dig a bit more, careful not to disturb the groove you spotted before, and find another shard, this one with a faint curve, like part of a blade. Your heart skips. "Okay, statue you're collecting," you whisper, half joking, half spooked. Scholars still argue whether these offerings were practical, tributes to secure harvests, or mystical, meant to feed statues like this one. Some anthropologists think the Mayans saw their carvings as alive, vessels for gods or spirits. You glance at the statue, its hollow eyes catching the fading moonlight, and wonder if they're onto something. You set the shards aside, noticing the dirt around them is looser, like it's been turned recently. Maybe animals, maybe hikers, but the grooves nearby, curved, polished, hint at something heavier. You picture a Mayan priest, robes swaying, bearing a jade bead right here, moon overhead. Did they see the statue shift and think it approved? You stand, brushing dirt off your hands, and catch that static jolt again, sharp enough to make you wince. "Seriously?" You laugh, shaking your fingers. The jungle's quieter now, the frogs toning it down, but the air's still thick, pressing against your skin. You wander a few steps, eyeing the statue's base, and spot another glint. A tiny bead, green and smooth, half sunk in the dirt. Jade, maybe. You don't touch it, not this time. A monkey howls far off, and you grin, muttering, "Yeah, I'm freaking out too." The moonlight's softer, the statue's shadow fainter, but it's still watching, its glyphs glinting like they're daring you to keep digging. You settle back, cross-legged, the obsidian shards and that bead burning a hole in your thoughts. The jungle feels like it's leaning in, waiting for your next move. You're not here to loot or solve anything, just to feel the weight of this place, to let its buried secrets tug at you. The statue's not moving, not now, but the offerings, the grooves, the stories, they're enough to keep you hooked, sitting here under a fading moon, chasing whispers from a world long gone. You're still in the clearing. The statue's stone silhouette softer now as the moon slides lower, its light dimming like a lamp on a slow fade. The jungle's dialed back too, crickets and frogs murmuring instead of shouting, the air cooler but still heavy with that chosen night vibe the locals talked about. Those obsidian shards and that jade bead you found are sitting in your mind like puzzle pieces, and the statue's glyphs, jaguars, moons, that raised hand figure, are catching the last of the moonlight, their shimmer fading but still there. You're not ready to let this mystery go. Not when the night's winding down and the statue's got one last chance to show you something. You lean forward, eyes locked on its weathered face, waiting for that final hint of movement under the moon's dying glow. Here's a solid fact: Mayan rituals often peaked at specific lunar phases, especially full moons, which were seen as bridges to the divine. Texts from sites like Copan, carved around 700 CE, describe ceremonies where statues were activated by moonlight, maybe through offerings or chants. This statue, with its platform and glyphs, was likely a focal point for such rites, its alignment catching the moon's peak like a cosmic spotlight. You glance up, the moon's lower, half veiled by treetops, but still casting a faint glow on the statue's sphere. You notice its shadow, thinner now, stretching toward that star-carved altar across the clearing. It's almost like the statue's pointing one last time. Now, for the quirky bit. Locals in Santa Luz say the statue's final move happens just before dawn, a farewell to the moon. One villager, a guy selling tamales at the market, swore he saw it tilt back to its original spot as the sky lightened, like it was clocking out. You chuckle, muttering, "Hope you punch a time card, buddy." But you're watching closer now, the moonlight barely clinging to the glyphs. The jaguar carving seems to flicker, like it's winking out. You blink, heart ticking faster. Did the statue shift? You squint, checking its lean. Same as before, maybe, but the groove in the dirt looks deeper, like something dragged a fraction. "Sneaky," you whisper, grinning despite the chill on your neck. Scholars still argue whether the statue's movement is tied to lunar cycles or just random settling. Some astronomers think the platform's angled to amplify moonlight's visual tricks, making small shifts look dramatic. Others blame erosion, saying the clay base tilts with humidity. You kneel, brushing the groove again, and feel no jolt this time, just cool, packed dirt. The moonlight's almost gone, and you notice the bare ground around the statue looks smoother, like it's been swept clean. You picture a Mayan priest here, sweeping away offerings as the moon set, maybe muttering, "Show's over." A bat swoops low, and you duck, laughing softly. "Okay, I'm jumpy," you admit, but your eyes stay on the statue. You stand, stretching, and wander a few steps, keeping the statue in sight. The jungle's quieter, the air lighter, like the night's exhaling. You glance at the altar, its star carvings barely visible now, and feel a pang. This night's almost done. You settle back, cross-legged, the statue's shadow faint but still there, like a ghost of itself. You lean forward, studying its face, hollow eyes, tight-lipped, unmoved. But you swear the spear's angle's off, just a hair, like it's saluting the fading moon. Your pulse skips, but you play it cool, whispering, "Nice one, statue." The glyphs are dull now, their shimmer gone, and you feel the mystery slipping away, soft as the moonlight. You're not solving this, not tonight. The grooves, the shards, the stories, they're all threads, but the tapestry's incomplete. You lean back, letting the jungle's murmur wrap you up, content to sit with the statue's quiet presence, to watch it stand guard as the moon dips out of sight. The night's been a ride, full of whispers and maybe tricks, and you're ready to let it wind down, to carry the mystery with you as the first hint of dawn creeps closer. You're still in the clearing, the statue's silhouette now a soft outline as the moonlight fades, swallowed by the jungle's dark canopy. The moon's nearly gone, just a pale sliver peeking through the treetops, and the air's cooler, brushing your skin like a sigh. The jungle's chorus, crickets, frogs, has mellowed to a gentle hum, like it's ready to clock out too. Those glyphs, the jaguars and moons, are barely visible, their shimmer snuffed out with the fading light. The obsidian shards, the jade bead, that final hint of movement, they're all swirling in your mind. But the night's winding down, and you're ready to let the mystery settle, to ease into the quiet. You lean back, hands behind your head, and let the statue's presence anchor you one last time. Let's ground this with a fact. Mayan cities like Xibalba's Gate were built to endure, not just physically but spiritually. Archaeologists note that by 700 CE, statues like this one were seen as eternal watchers, standing long after their makers left. This statue, with its spear and starry-eyed stare, was likely meant to guard the city's memory, its glyphs a story for anyone who'd listen. You glance at it, its form faint now, and feel a tug, like it's still doing its job, watching you, the jungle, the fading night. The bare dirt around it, those grooves, feel like proof it's not done yet. For the quirky bit, locals in Santa Luz say the statue rests at dawn, not just still but peaceful, like it's earned a nap. An elder once said, "It moves to remind us, then sleeps to dream." You smile, muttering, "Hope you're dreaming of something good." The idea is sweet, almost cozy, and you imagine the statue exhaling, its stone heart slowing as the sky lightens. Scholars still argue whether it's tremors or tricks, but you're past that now, content with the story, with the way this place feels alive, even in its silence. You stand, stretching. The jungles hum a soft blanket around you. The statue's shadow is gone, melted into the dawn's first gray hints. You wander a few steps, glancing at the altar with its star carvings, now just shapes in the gloom. A frog croaks, lazy and low, and you chuckle, whispering, "Yeah, time for bed." You feel the night's weight lifting, the heaviness from earlier softening into something warm, like a memory you'll carry home. The statue's still there, unmoved, but you swear its face looks softer, like it's saying, "You get it now." You settle back, cross-legged, one last time, the clearing quiet and still. The mystery's not solved. No big reveal, no dancing statue caught on camera. But that's okay. You came for the whispers, the grooves, the stories of priests and villagers, and you're leaving with them, tucked into your thoughts like keepsakes. The jungle's fading, the stars dim, and you feel yourself sinking. Not into sleep, but into a calm that's just as good. You glance at the statue, its hollow eyes gentle now, and nod. "Thanks for the night," you whisper, ready to let it go. And now, as the jungle softens, its edges blurring into the dawn's tender glow, you feel the world slow, each breath deeper, each sound, those distant frogs, that whispering breeze, fading into a lullaby. The statue stands quiet, its secrets safe, its story woven into the night you've shared. You're safe here, wrapped in the clearing's calm, the air cool and kind against your skin. Let the glyphs, the grooves, the moonlight's tricks drift away, like leaves on a gentle stream. There's no need to chase answers now. They'll wait, tucked in the jungle's heart, for another night. Your eyes grow heavy, the statue's silhouette a steady friend, guiding you toward rest. Picture the clearing emptying, the stars winking out, the world folding into a hush. You're drifting, carried by the night's last whispers, into a place where mysteries bloom soft and sweet. Sleep calls warm and patient, and you're ready to answer, to let the jungle's embrace carry you home.